Yes, thanks for staying with us on the South Australian Sports Show. Monday at Mildura, there was a nasty fall by last year's Melbourne Cup winner Michelle Payne. So we thought, Poppy, we'd bring in our expert on falls off of horses. Libby Hopwood joins us. Libby, how are you?
Good to be an expert at falling off.
Falling off. October 15, 2014, you had a nasty fall. Now, Michelle's just had a nasty fall on Monday. Cautious was the report after. Is there luck in a fall? I mean, for her, she was on the outside. There weren't horses behind her. Is there such a thing as a lucky fall?
Of course, there's such a thing as a lucky fall. A lot of riders will come back from a fall and be like, well, somebody was looking out for me on that one, because they could be considerably worse, or 9 times out of 10 you'll fall off and I do anyway, because I'm bottom heavy. I land on my bum and walk away, but every now and then you'll have that one bad fall.
Easy, Poppy. I know you got a comment about the bottom there. Hold it back just for a minute, mate.
The eyebrows went up.
I saw the perspiration coming. I thought, I know where this is going.
We're starting to get ready for a comment.
Now, she's had a couple of nasty falls before, Michelle. 2004, she had a really nasty one where she fractured her skull, bleeding on the brain. Then she had 2 horrible ones in 2012 where she actually thought about giving it away. Now having this one here, and you've had some falls, do you reflect on previous falls? Do you start to go, they're accumulating, maybe it's time to get out?
Yeah, look, it's hard for me to speak for Michelle, but as a rider, we understand the risk that going into it. And I was lucky enough to go to Michelle's book launch a couple of days ago at the Highway, and she actually spoke about those injuries. And she said when she sustained that injury where she hurt her brain, she had some frontal lobe damage, and they let her back within 7 months, which is way too early. And she said the 2 falls that happened after that, which she was significantly injured as well, she thinks it was an accumulation from the injury that she'd already had. So sort of similar sort of boat that I would be in, but they're not letting me back now. It's because you already have that pre-injured brain. If you hit it again, you're starting from an unhealthy brain going to an unhealthier place.
I would think confidence in any sport's a huge part, and it's a dent to the confidence when you take a fall, because you lose a little bit of your mojo, and I'm sure that any sportsman does. How do you come back from a fall? Is it the old saying, get back on the horse? Is that basically it?
It really is, and it's everybody has different ways of dealing with it. I didn't feel as though I'd lost any confidence at all with my fall because I couldn't remember anything. But I was on a horse at track work which decided to throw down with me, and my first thought that popped to my head was...
When you say throw down, what does that mean?
He was having an argument, and it felt like it was going to take off. And I had it in a secluded area, and it felt like once I got out that secluded area, I was going to completely lose control, where I was 90% out of control. And the first thought that went through my head was, if he gets out of this area, I'm going to lose him, and I need to protect my head. Do I bail now, or what happens? But I managed to get him back under my thumb shortly after that.
That happens with some women, and some. Well, he's obviously a colt or something.
Try and stay with the horses, Poppy. My question is, I probably touched on it. You lose your mojo. Do you lose your nerve? I mean, is there a point in your career, and you haven't, and hopefully Michelle hasn't, but you've been around enough jockeys to get a sense of, I'm starting to lose my nerve for this?
Yes, and a lot of jockeys have stood themselves down from that, and I actually thought that myself when I thought I was getting back. I thought I just want to get back. If I find myself in a racing situation where I am losing some confidence, I won't continue forward with that, because you need to be on top of your game, and you need to be aggressive, and you need to have that confidence. But in the same token, I've been around riders where I will be in a race field with them, and I feel as though their confidence isn't up to scratch, and then it makes you question their riding ability. But only that jockey and that rider can answer that question for themselves.
If I have to have a guess as to whether Michelle comes back, I'm going to say no. And I'll tell you why. I think she's sort of at that period in her life where she's made it 30 years of age. She wants to have a family. She wants to find a man. She wants to settle down. She's got commitments now outside of actual race riding, that she's finding it hard to keep up with.
Maybe she can star in her movie.
Well, and and this is she has got so much on that I think she'll have some time to herself to think, do I really need it? I mean, can it get any better than what it is? And I think the answer is no.
She was actually considering retiring before Melbourne Cup. I think Melbourne Cup sort of pushed it out that little bit longer, and even after those falls, she said she thought about it, but she felt as though she had more to offer. So I guess once she feels better from a poor little battered and bruised body, she'll ask herself whether she feels as though she has more to offer.
Do they teach you how to fall? I mean, in footy or in our sport, you learn at an early age how to ride the bumps, how to fall, how to land, to protect yourself. Do they have a thing for jockeys where they go, okay, we'll put you on a dummy horse? I know that's not the right term. A mechanical horse and teach you to fall. Do they have such a thing?
They don't in Australia. I have actually seen footage of an apprentice school somewhere else. I'm not sure where. I think South Africa is ringing a bell. But they were on a mechanical horse and it's propelled forward, hits a barrier, and the jockey falls onto a gym mat and learns how to fall. But we don't actually have that in Australia. So if you fall off enough times, you learn how to protect yourself.
You know, it's a good question, because for me, I would have thought that it's a obligatory part of learning to ride is actually learning for the unforeseen, the unplanned for, because especially in apprentice school, I know some of them are fresh to riding horses, and you, Libby, you've been riding horses all your life. But learning how to fall is absolutely crucial.
It is.
It's absolutely crucial. I don't understand why it's not part of apprentice school.
Well, maybe we need to get one of those mechanical horses that rocket propels us.
Well, maybe, because, you know, say, for instance, even in a sport like judo, when you are thrown, they do what's called a break fall. You learn to break your fall.
Yep.
And that's part of it, because you know that at some stage it's going to happen. You need to be prepared for it.
I'm not sure whether it's the mechanics of the actual horse or riding the horse, but generally 9 times out of 10 you're propelled clear and you're into that rolling motion just from the back of the horse. It's only when something cataclysmic, you know what I'm saying, goes wrong with the horse, really bad with the horse, where you're pulled into the fall, and that's what happened to Caitlin. She was pulled into the fall. Generally, you propel clear and you roll out of it.
Well, let's talk about the fall. Each one's different, of course. At what point do you know you're in trouble? At what point do you start to go, this is not going to end well for me?
Well, we get what we call clipping heels in racing, and that's when if you've got a horse that's up in the steel and you can't bring it back, and your horse's front feet are touching the horse's back feet in front of you, and you can hear it. It's a clicking noise. And generally when you can hear that, you start to get worried, because that's generally when horses come down. So when you're on heels and you're clipping heels, there's a moment of, oh, how am I need to get out of this somehow. And you can prepare for it. Or there's other moments where you feel the horse is something's not quite right with the horse and you'll get into a brace position. Or there's other times where it just happens out of the blue and you've got nothing.
All right, we've got to wrap it up, but just quickly, Michelle said she felt that she was going and tried to hold on for as long as she could. Is that what you try to do? Just try to hold on, or do you try and go, I'm going, and prepare for the fall?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Everybody's different.
What would you do?
Well, everybody's instinct takes over. So each fall is so different. So I would try to stay on one horse, and other horses, I know it's gone, I'll try to bail. So each ride, each horse, each
horse is different.
Each thing you do, each fall is different.
All right, well, we hope Michelle's good. It'll be interesting to see whether she continues on, Poppy, or whether she says, I've had enough, time to start a family and make more money than I do riding horses, which is dangerous. Stay with us, still plenty to come.